Right, here in Melton, catching up with Lance Justice. Very wet here in Melton. Firstly, Lance, terrible conditions here at the minute.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain. It's all the billabong out the back's full. The track's washed out. I'm a little bit damp still from earlier today.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it. It's the evolution. I could talk to you about a lot of things, good horses and horses you've trained, potentially up and coming ones and all the rest. I was at Melton Trials today and I saw you stand out in the pouring rain with a video camera, videoing your daughter trial. One made me proud because I'm a dad and the rest, but you must have been super proud, Dad, of your daughter being out there in that conditions, to stand out there in that.
Well, I knew that if there was if for some reason, if it didn't go onto the YouTube page or something, that I would be in trouble for not videoing it. So I videoed it just in case that she would go off. But I just know that they love to look at the videos afterwards.
How proud are you of Leilani and what she's doing? Although that was her first official trial at Melton, I think had only had one other trial.
Yeah, it's the first official trial. She went quite good, and I'm used to videoing because I video all her cross-country events. I go out and I go to get up in the middle of where the horse starts off jumping the jumps, and I run from jump to jump and try and video it and get as much as I can for her.
As a father that's experienced the same thing, it is hard yakka, isn't it?
It is. It's hard trying to video, watch the horse and watch where you're running and look at the ground and look up and keep contact with the horse. But it's a very hard job to try and do, but you sort of got to do it yeah.
She's sponsored by Ranvet, as is my daughter, and as are you guys. And I think what Ranvet do for a lot of these young riders and trying to encourage them into any horse discipline is sensational. Yeah,
no, Ranvet are fantastic. They're a great company, and they support us and they support all the horse equine industry.
Like you said there about show jumping and that, do you think that's going to hold her in good stead? Like I was fortunate enough, she was interviewed by Tim O'Connor on the trial show, and listening to her, like she's so mature but also so worldly as far as the horse knowledge goes.
Yeah, no, she's picked up a fair bit and she's been around them all whole life, and that's what I said to Kylie Harrison before we were talking on the way up. The difference between Lani, she's had a really good grounding. Her and Eva both have been brought up with horses, and they got such a head start on the kids that come into it that at a later time, as for courage, and she doesn't lack any of that. I mean, some of those jumps she jumps out there on those cross-country courses, I get one side and I look at them like I can't see over the top of them, and I think to myself, how in the hell are you going to jump these bloody things? And there's trenches and ditches 4 foot deep and 4 foot wide, and they just line up and bowl over them.
Isn't it one of the great things about that discipline is there'll be so many people out there guide her through and help her, and some people will help her beforehand. Sometimes they get it wrong, they'll come and just talk to them, and you see a lot of the kids walk off in tears. It happens to every kid all the time. It's great camaraderie-ship, I think, in that horse discipline.
It's really hard. I mean, I try and mentor the kids. I have for a long time, but it's really hard. It's hard to draw that fine line between trying to tell them something that you really want to get the message across, but like a football coach, not upsetting them. Because I mean, I try and make suggestions, and I try and say to them, look, it is a great sport, but you've got to be tough. You can't be too nice, and you've got to have a bit of muck in you that you can actually have a crack at somebody. And if someone has a crack at you, don't go into a shell. Just brush it off and keep going.
Do you think it'll hold her instead for like out in the driving ranks? Because I mean, it can get heated out there on the track, and sometimes you come back into the shed and you've got to be the best of mates. Do you think the grounding in the other horse disciplines are going to help her in the future? I
think so. I always say to the kids that like when you get out there, if something goes wrong, look, you're going to get blown up. Someone's going to blow up at you. They blow up at me, and all my life, and I've told people off and things like that. Things happen. It's a race. You're not out there to shake hands and be best mates. But as long as when you turn around and come off the track, you don't take it any further, and I think that's the best way to do it.
I've had the wrath of Lance before, so don't worry about that. And we'll still stand here and talk, but it is part, I think, the passion and that. She said there in the interview that Diane, I don't think, watched her in the runarounds. How nervous do you get? You've achieved a lot in this industry. How nervous do you get watching your daughter drive?
No, I don't get nervous at all, because I know that if I'm confident in the horse I send her out on, I mean, there's some horses that eventually she's going to drive for other people where I'll have no control over, but anything she drives for me, I'll be pretty confident that it would be pretty safe.
Are you going to encourage her to continue doing the other horse disciplines as well?
Yeah, well, she has to, because she's invested so much money into the others. I mean, we got probably more thoroughbreds than we've got trotters right now. So I keep thinking perhaps I should get a couple of younger thoroughbreds and actually race them and then put them into eventing. But I used to train them in Adelaide for a little while. We had a little limited success with two or three thoroughbreds, but yeah, it's something that you look at and you think to yourself, they're no harder to train than the standard breds, and there's a lot more return there.
So when you say the older thoroughbreds, like they're a show horses, though, or does she ride them as well for thoroughbred trainers?
No, she rides them all. She's got retired horses. She's got one that won, I think, 3 McKinnon Stakes. It's a High Dock or High Dock?
High Dock, yeah.
Yeah, she's got High Dock.
Wow.
So he's at home and he gets pampered, and she has another one called Snipes, the Sniper. She's had quite a few nice ones. Yeah.
And does she rehome them, or does she just want to ride them and compete on them and achieve as much as she can?
No, she's training them to be eventers, and hopefully she's bred one to a horse called Contender, which was the sire of the gold medalist horse that Shane Rose had out of her little mare that she had, Muffin, that used to jump grade 1 and stuff like that. So she's aiming for something that she could take her to the top of that sport. But it's like harness racing and thoroughbred racing. You've got to have the animal to take you there. I mean, you can have all the ability in the world, but if you haven't got that horse to take you there, mate.
And in that jumping, it can be one jump, one water jump, one anything that can make or break you. Unfortunately, it can be a split second, can't it?
Well, as you know, with your daughter, it's something you go around. It's just the luck of the draw. You get through a reasonably good dressage pattern and get high up in the points, and it can be just one little slip up and you're out of business.
Lance, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. Very, very random chat. People will be watching, they'll be like, weren't expecting that. But I was, as a dad of my own daughter, I reckon I'd be doing the same thing. I just think it was pretty cool to watch. If it was sunshine and no flies around, I would have said, oh, that's good that Lance is out there. But it was cold, it was wet, it was windy, and you had no hesitation in doing it. So well done to you, and good luck to Leilani. I will do another couple of interviews with her. She's had a little bit of airtime today, though, and watch from the horse's mouth. I'm sure HRV will cut that up, the interview up. It's a great little chat. She's a good chat. So for the future, hopefully all goes well. But well done on everything she's achieved so far, and well done to you, mate, for being a proud dad. I think there's nothing better.
No, thanks very much, Paul.